Greetings, YouTube. Mandarin is here, but good lighting is not. I apologize. Um, I really should get some kind of a switch for that light, maybe, one that I can reach when I have the cat on my back. It's not a bad idea. To work on that, maybe. Alright, so there is a capstone ability in one of the psionic classes. I think it's in psionics augmented, or expanded. Psionics expanded is what it is. And its capstone ability is the ability to turn ethereal at will, which is awesome. You were invisible, you were insubstantial, you can fly, you can move through things. Very awesome. But it got me thinking, if you could be ethereal, and it's a really good defensive position to be in, high power character, so you should be able to do something from that defensible position. Then I began to wonder, what can you do from that defensible position? So I went and looked up what the ethereal ability is in Toto. Alright then, so in the Pathfinder rules, this is what the ethereal ability grants you. An ethereal creature is invisible, insubstantial, and capable of moving in any direction, even up or down, albeit at half normal speed. An ethereal creature can move through solid objects, including living creatures. An ethereal creature can see and hear on the material plane, but everything looks gray and ephemeral. Sight and hearing onto the material plane are limited to 60 feet. Force effects and abjuration effects, defensive, barring abilities, bane, keeping things at a distance with barriers and things like that. On ethereal creatures normally. Their effect extends onto the material plane from the material, but not vice versa. An ethereal creature can't attack material objects, and spells you cast while ethereal affect only other ethereal things. Certain material creatures or objects have attacks or effects that work on the ethereal plane. An ethereal creature treats other ethereal creatures and ethereal objects as if they were material. Okay, so if you are ethereal and you are dealing with another ethereal being, it's effectively that you are not ethereal. That's fine. Got me thinking, right? You've got this great ability, you're ethereal. It should be usable in some advantageous manner. And it sounds kind of limited. You think about it. You can't attack anything. You can't cast spells at anything, or probably use most psionic abilities. So I'm beginning to think, okay, as a GM, how would I adjudicate this? Well, I think that detecting abilities, all detecting abilities, should function. So if you have an ability through a spell or a psychic ability or a skill, it would work within 60 feet. The 60-foot limit seems to be hard and fast because of the conflict between being on the ethereal plane and to the material plane. So I don't have a problem with that. 60 feet, that's still a usable range. I mean, dark vision is 60 feet, and it's something that players have been dealing with from first level all the way to 20 anyway, so they're used to that range. I also think that not just sensory data detection should work, but also things like detect magic, detect alignment, all the detective abilities. So, good. I think that's fine. I think purely mental abilities should function. So if you have the ability to read minds or emotions, pick up things on that in that manner, I think that should also function normally. You shouldn't be able to move things. So, like telekinesis, they're either magical or psionic, probably shouldn't work. But since there is an ability from the material plane that will affect the ethereal force effects, maybe there should be something that does the opposite. If material beings can affect ethereal ones with a certain kind of effect, which is a force effect, maybe ethereal beings should be able to affect the material plane in a like-minded manner. I'm not really sure what, though. I'm kind of throwing this out there just as an idea. And then other purely mental abilities, particularly in the psionic realm, I begin to think about it. I think you should be able to detect things. I think you should be able to read the minds of others. It's a great spying tool. You can't move things. but can you affect them on a psychic or a magical level mentally? For example, should you be able to scare them? All right, that's an ethereal being is a scary concept. Should you be able to do that? Should you be able to control their minds? Charm spells, things along those lines. And I think that there is some reasonable justification for that if it's a purely mental ability. And the idea of an ethereal being getting inside the head of someone, to my mind, makes perfect sense, because this is one of the situations where you can literally get inside someone's head. The ethereal being could actually touch the inside of someone's skull if they didn't have some kind of effect that was defending them. Would that work? Do you think it's a reasonable adjudication of what an ethereal being can do? So I haven't really decided yet. I'm still playing with these ideas. But if being ethereal, to my mind, should be a very powerful ability, and the way it's being described from that passage, I will cut and paste it into the notes so people can read it themselves, really seems very limited. I mean, I guess it's good for spying and traveling through things, particularly if you can do it at will, so that you don't have to worry about suddenly becoming material while you're inside a wall or something, or traveling, through a mountain or something like that. But it does seem that you are essentially significantly neutering yourself, or to use the classic gaming term, nerfing yourself, of all your functional abilities. And why would you want to do that? But I think there should be some action, physical action, from the ethereal plane that can affect the material, just as there is one from the material to the ethereal with the use of a force effect. So I'm throwing these ideas out there. I want to know what people have to say about this. I'm looking for input. I don't really know what would be the best call here. I think that I'm very comfortable with the whole detecting and mind reading thing. I got absolutely no problem with that. I think that they play right into the whole ethereal thing, and they are very passive. So I have no problem with those. My stumbling block here is, should they be able to control the minds of people in the material plane, or beings in the material plane? And should they be able to have the ability to have some singular ability that goes from the ethereal to the material, as there is already from the material to the ethereal with force effects? So I am asking the RPG Brigade here on YouTube, what do you think? And isn't she just adorable? Toasty too.